You've probably been calling yourself lazy lately, unmotivated, maybe even broken. You look around and wonder why you can't keep up, why your spark is gone, why the things you used to love feel dull. But here's the truth no one tells you. That laziness you're feeling, it might be the clearest sign that you're awakening. Seriously, what if you're not falling apart, but falling into alignment? We live in a world that glorifies hustle, even when your soul is screaming for stillness. So the moment you stop grinding, people label it as weakness. But here's the twist. When your old identity starts to dissolve, so does your drive to chase empty goals. That loss of motivation isn't failure. It's the first step toward truth. And that uncomfortable pause you're in, it's not depression. It's a deep spiritual recalibration. This video isn't just for the burned out or the tired. It's for the brave ones. The ones bold enough to question everything they were told about success, effort, and self-worth. If that's you, keep watching. Because once you understand what's really happening beneath your lack of drive, everything starts to make sense. And what felt like the end might actually be your beginning. You probably expected awakening to feel like fireworks and bliss, right? Like some magical key would unlock the door to happiness forever. But instead, you're sitting there, feeling empty. It's weird. You're more aware than ever, but nothing feels exciting. That's not because you did it wrong. It's because your old motivations, the ones rooted in ego, are starting to dissolve. And without them, well, it's like walking through a house you used to love, only to realize it's not really yours anymore. See, your old self thrived on needing more. More success, more validation, more control. It's like you were running on a hamster wheel, and now the wheel's gone. So you stand still and ask, now what? That stillness can feel terrifying, like a vacuum. But here's the thing, it's not emptiness. It's space. And space is where something new, something real begins to form. But first, you've got to sit with it. Think of it like unplugging from a noisy city. At first, the silence is deafening. You're so used to chaos that peace feels like a problem. You're conditioned to equate effort with value, movement with purpose. But awakening flips that upside down. Suddenly, your intuition speaks louder than your ambition. And that shift is not a glitch. It's the actual upgrade. You may even start to feel disconnected from the things that once gave you drive. Goals, habits, achievements, they stop lighting you up. That's not laziness. That's your nervous system finally stepping off the gas. It's your soul asking for truth instead of trophies. You're not broken. You're just waking up in a world that doesn't reward stillness. Let me give you something practical. During this phase, try not to force clarity. Instead, observe. Journal without trying to solve anything. Read books like The Untethered Soul or The Power of Now. They don't give answers, but they'll help you feel less alone. And maybe, just maybe, stop chasing the next thing long enough to hear your real self whisper. This discomfort is not a detour. It's the first sign you're on the right track. And if you lean in just a bit more, you'll start to see why Carl Jung didn't talk about light without first diving into darkness. Carl Jung saw this coming way before we had words like burnout or ego death. He understood that awakening isn't about climbing to the light. It's about going down into the basement. And let's be honest, that's the part no one puts on a vision board. When Jung said, enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. He meant that real transformation begins when you stop pretending and start confronting. You've probably noticed that the more aware you become, the messier things feel at first. That's because awareness pulls back the curtain. It exposes your shadow, the fears, lies, masks, and wounds you've been avoiding. And it hurts. But Jung didn't see that pain as punishment. He saw it as the price of admission to a fuller life. One where you're no longer controlled by the parts of you that operate in the dark. There's a term Jung used, psychological death. Sounds intense, I know, but it's actually freedom in disguise. It's when your old identity crumbles, and the false roles you played no longer fit. Maybe you were the achiever, the pleaser, the tough one, the healer. Now, you're just you. And that's terrifying because you don't have a script for this version of yourself yet. But that's also the only place where the truth can start to live. Let's get practical again. During this unraveling, try drawing what Jung called your shadow. Not literally, unless you like art, but list out the traits or memories you've disowned. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's insecurity. Don't judge it. Just acknowledge it. That's how you begin to reclaim your power. You're not supposed to feel like a superhero during this stage. You're supposed to feel real. See, the unconscious isn't the enemy. It's the storage room of every part of you you thought was too much. And now, as the light of your awareness grows, those parts come up to be healed, not shamed. It's clumsy, uncomfortable, and sometimes makes you want to run back to your old patterns. But something deep in you knows. There's no going back to sleep once you've seen what's in the dark. And just when you think you're done falling apart, something strange happens. Everything goes quiet. You enter a space that feels hollow, slow, even pointless. But don't mistake that silence for a dead end. It's actually the sacred pause before everything shifts again. There's a strange moment after everything breaks down. You've faced your shadow, let go of your old self, and now nothing. No motivation, no energy, just this heavy stillness, like your whole being hit the brakes. First, you panic. You think you've failed or lost your purpose. But what you're experiencing isn't failure. It's the sacred pause, a kind of spiritual jet lag between who you were and who you're becoming. Let me be real with you. We're taught to associate stillness with weakness. If you're not doing, people assume you're lazy, lost, or depressed. But this pause is not dysfunction, it's detox. It's like your soul just did a full factory reset, and now it's calibrating. You can't rush this part, and you shouldn't. Your nervous system needs rest. Your emotions need room. Your inner compass needs to reorient without outside noise. And I know, this pause doesn't feel sacred most days. Feels like you're wasting time. You watch others chase goals while you're just trying to get out of bed. But here's the secret. Their hustle is often rooted in fear. Yours was too before the awakening. And now you're learning to move differently. Less from pressure, more from presence. And that's why the silence is so valuable. It teaches you to choose rather than react. If you're in this void right now, don't fill it with noise. Don't jump into a new project or relationship just to escape the stillness. Instead, try slow, intentional routines. Go on long walks with no destination. Read one chapter of a nourishing book. Try Wintering by Catherine May or When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. Cook a meal from scratch. Let your life breathe again, one quiet decision at a time. This moment is not about fixing yourself. It's about letting your system soften. Letting it drop the performance. Letting it remember what real alignment feels like. Sure, you're not crossing things off your to-do list right now, but you're doing deeper work than most people ever touch in their lives. You're rebuilding your foundation, and that takes time, space, and grace. And just when you accept that stillness is your teacher, you'll start to hear whispers from deeper within. Whispers that point you back to yourself, not your old self, but the real one. And that's when shadow work stops being theory and starts becoming practice. This is where things get honest, really honest. You're not just unpacking old wounds anymore. You're meeting the parts of yourself you never wanted to see. Shadow work isn't just about digging through pain. It's about recognizing your full self, even the parts that scare or embarrass you. Maybe it's your jealousy, your pride, that need to control everything. You're not broken for having these traits. You're human. And now, finally, you're choosing to face them with open eyes. Individuation, as Jung called it, is the process of becoming whole, not perfect, whole. And that means the ego, the mask you wore to survive, has to step aside. This isn't about pretending to be enlightened. It's about being radically real. Instead of faking kindness, you admit when you feel resentment. Instead of hiding fear, you learn to listen to it. This alignment between who you are and who you show up as. That's freedom, not some polished version of perfection. Let's get real, this part can be lonely. Friends may not get it. Your routines won't feel the same. Even your passions might fade for a while. But this isolation is sacred. It clears space for authenticity to grow. You're not just reacting to life anymore. You're rebuilding it from the inside out. And it doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it looks like saying no, setting boundaries, walking away from what once felt safe but no longer feels true. You can start small. Keep a shadow journal. Write down moments when something triggers you and ask, what part of me is this touching? You'll start to notice patterns. Fear of not being enough, fear of being seen, fear of losing control. Don't push these insights away. Sit with them. If you need guidance, look into Owning Your Own Shadow by Robert Johnson. It's short, sharp, and deeply practical. This isn't just therapy talk. It's spiritual grounding. And don't confuse this path with laziness or passivity. You're not giving up on life. You're giving up on pretending. Hustle culture taught you to run faster. Shadow work teaches you to stand still, breathe, and ask why you were running in the first place. From that stillness, a new kind of clarity rises, not motivated by proving, but by aligning. And when that alignment clicks into place, you begin to feel something new stirring under the surface. Not the pressure to be productive, but the desire to be whole. And from there, everything starts to move again, but this time from a different source. At some point, the fire that used to push you forward just dies out. The deadlines, the grind, the external praise, it all starts to feel like noise. And when that happens, most people panic. But what if this isn't the end of your motivation, but the beginning of a more honest one? You're not losing your drive, you're shedding the lies that used to fuel it. And underneath all that pressure, there's a quieter force waiting to guide you. Alignment. You start to notice the difference. The to-do lists feel heavy, but following your curiosity, that feels like oxygen. You no longer move to prove, you move to feel, to connect, to grow. It's not that you've stopped caring. It's that you've stopped pretending. There's a difference between giving up and waking up. And now, finally, you're choosing things that actually resonate. Let me give you a real-world shift. Instead of asking, what do I need to accomplish today? You ask, what feels alive in me today? Maybe it's writing, maybe it's resting, maybe it's cleaning the garage while listening to jazz. It doesn't matter how it looks. What matters is how it lands in your body. This is when your effort starts to feel like devotion, not duty. The truth is, adrenaline-driven ambition burns you out because it's wired for fear. It's that voice screaming, if I don't do this, I'll fall behind. But soul-aligned ambition whispers something different. If I follow what's true, I'll arrive exactly where I need to be. That's not laziness, that's intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Spiritual maturity. It's choosing peace over performance and purpose over pressure. Of course, this shift comes with resistance. You might feel guilty for slowing down. You might fear becoming irrelevant. But let me tell you, irrelevance in a broken system is not a failure. It's freedom. Saying no to what drains you is a sacred act. And saying yes to what lights you up, even if it doesn't make sense to others, that's how you rebuild your compass. And once that inner compass starts pointing clearly again, you stop needing motivation tricks. You don't have to push yourself anymore. You're pulled by something deeper, steadier, wiser. And from that place, your next steps aren't frantic. They're intentional, rooted, and that shift changes everything, especially when you realize you're not the only one waking up to this new way of living. But now that you see it, what are you going to do with it? Are you still going to call yourself lazy? Or are you ready to honor the sacred shift you're in? You've been trying to fit into a world that rewards burnout. But what if your path is about breaking that cycle? What if choosing stillness is actually the boldest move you can make? Seriously, take a moment. What's one thing you can let go of today that no longer feels true? And what's one small action that feels aligned? Just for you. Start there. Trust that. Because rebuilding yourself from within isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And if this spoke to you, you're not alone. You're awakening, and that changes everything. So before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning of a whole new way of seeing life and yourself. And if you're hungry for more of this truth, I want you to watch this next video right here. It'll take you even deeper. Let's keep growing together.